Hello, my name is Ryan Recta, and this is my presentation on making music using creative sound design. So, there are many ways many people get inspiration to make music nowadays. A song might be inspired by melody, lyrics, chord progressions, or even an event that may have happened in their lives. But what about getting the inspiration to make music using non-conventional sounds? These non-conventional sounds can include dropping objects on the floor to make specific sounds, using odd things like keys to make nice percussive sounds, to even using household items like clips to keep chip bags closed. Another example of this can be found on YouTube. There is a Canadian musician that goes by Andrew Huang, and he has made many full songs using non-conventional sounds. For example, he made a full song using just the sounds of water containers and water bottles. And he also made a full song where he uses just the sound of a long, obnoxious, squeaky door. And it's genius. So these non-conventional sounds are not that commonly heard in music and are found elsewhere like in films and video games. And it makes sense to keep these sounds separated from each other. But that should not be one of the reasons to not use non-conventional sounds in music. The world of sonic art is vast. It's near endless. It is impossible to hear every possible kind of music. Yet, the majority of music makers still stick to the sounds they know. In this paper, it will demonstrate how music makers can use creative sound design to make music using Foley, techniques such as editing, processing, and synths. Step one in this whole creative process, we need to figure out what kind of music or song is being made. Technically speaking, you can use creative sound design to make anything, but figuring out what kind of style of music or song you're making, it will make the music making process a lot more clear and more straightforward. Now we can move on to step number two, which is we need a microphone to be able to capture our sounds. You could use anything to get the job done. You could use a phone. You could use a headset for like the one I'm speaking into right now, or you can use this nice little handheld recorder. This is the Zoom H4n Pro. It's an awesome device. You could use it anywhere. You could plug it into your computer. You could use it outside. The secret behind this tool though is that it has these two condenser mics on the top, and it will capture almost any sound in high quality fidelity, and it's miraculously a spectacular tool. It is also a bonus to be able to capture these sounds in a space that has good acoustics. Pretty much it will just make recording a lot easier since there would be no other sounds to interfere with the recording. Lastly, you will need a DAW or a digital audio workspace. I will be saying DAW from now on though in the entirety of this presentation. So a DAW, you can use any DAW to get the job done. I use FL Studio, and I pretty much used it to lay down all my audio, to edit all my audio, and to manipulate all my audio, and to make the song which I'll present to you in the end. When starting on this creative process, you will be partaking in a technique known as Foley. Foley is a unique sound effect technique that involves creating and performing everyday sounds for movies and television shows. Foley sound got its name from Jack Foley, and he is a sound effect artist who has developed and shaped the technique. This art of adding sound effects to visuals has been around since the early 1900s, and it's mostly used by people like sound designers and Foley artists. It will get to the point where these people have an absurd assortment of items to find their sounds. For example, in the movie A Quiet Place, when they were making the sounds for the monsters in the movie, they used items such as celery, crab legs, to even using a stun gun on grapes, which is awesome. For the sake of making music, though, it is not necessary to go to such lengths, such as using weapons or destruction. But you can do that if you want to. Just proceed with caution. The key to using Foley here is to allow new sounds to be used in music. And once we've recorded all our sounds for our song, we can now move on into the editing stage. The editing stage is a very important step when it comes to Foley work. This is the part where we can ensure that the sounds are ready to be used and put to great use. So first, we need to make sure that the captured sound has clean audio. This is the step where all unwanted audio gets corrected in the DAW. As long as there was no problems in recording the sound, this step may be skipped, but perfect recordings do not happen all the time. So if there are imperfections and flaws in the recorded audio, you could clean it up using certain plugins, or you could simply just re-record the sound. After you've ensured that your sound is clean, you could then trim it to the right size, and then you could start shaping it into the sound you want it to become. So there are techniques, like for example, there's a technique called layering. It's where you combine multiple sounds into one. For example, in one of my songs, I combined the sound using scissors and using that sound. Then there are other techniques such as where you could change the pitch of the sound, and you could even change the speed of the sound. So after you've done all your editing, now you can move on into the processing step, and this is where all the magic happens. This is where you take your edited audio and manipulate it using special effects. For example, one of the basic effects that you can add is reverb. It happens every day, people hear it daily, and it is an effect that gives the sound an echo. Reverb is what allows the sound to capture the effects of the room. For example, a big room will produce a big echo, and a small room will produce a small echo. Or you could even think about what an echo would sound like in a tunnel compared to a cathedral. There are many types of reverb, so choosing the right one will be a very joyful experience. Another basic effect is delay. It is kind of like reverb, but instead of hearing just an echo, the sound entirely will be heard again. What delay does essentially is that it is playing the sound again. Just like reverb, there are many different ways to use delay. If a delay effect were to be used, it could play the sound again in various intervals from slow to fast. It can repeat the sound for as long as the delay setting allows it to. It could even play delayed sounds in various rhythms. There's also a setting called ping pong delay, and it will make it to where it sound like the sounds are bouncing left and right. So we have those two basic effects, reverb and delay. But now there are also effects such as a chorus, a flanger, and phaser, which and these effects can give their sounds some flavor and texture. So a chorus effect, um, it makes the sound thicker in a way. It makes a copy. What it does, so what it's doing is it makes a copy of the sound and slightly detunes the sound. It then plays that sound back quickly to create a cool new sound. Then there's the flanger effect, and it's kind of like a chorus effect, but not really. Like a chorus, it makes a slight delay of the sound, but instead of detuning that delay, it is playing that sound at different frequencies. Whilst the delayed effect is changing over time, it is causing the harmonics to phase cancel, which creates a cool sweeping sound effect. And then for the phaser effect, it messes with the equalization of the sound and it creates these cool like whoosh sound effects. Oh, and speaking of equalization or EQ, um, so every sound has a frequency spectrum, and what EQ does, it targets those aspects of sound. With EQ, it can make the lower frequencies of the sound stand out more, or it can make the higher frequencies stand out more. It can also drop some frequencies, which can make the sound either less full or sound not so clustered. With EQ, it can also create filters, such as low pass filters or even high pass filters. Low pass filters can make sounds a bit darker by allowing only low frequencies to come out, and there are high pass filters to make things sound brighter by doing the opposite of low pass filters. Um, the processing stage is pretty much going to be the whole bulk of your project. Another place where you can get your unique sounds aside from Foley is using synths, or more specifically wavetable synths. It is a synth that produces periodic waveforms to create very electronic sounding sounds. And you can find synths anywhere in modern music and see them used as regular instruments, but when it comes to the sound itself, it is still creative sound design. So the first step is choosing which sound wave you want to start with. Normally there are four standard sound waves, which are a sine wave, a saw wave, a square wave, and a triangle wave, and all four of them have their unique sound. So it is optional to go into the editing stage at this point, since the only thing that you can edit is the envelope of the sound wave. The envelope determines how the sound wave functions. It can start quiet and get loud, or it can start at max volume. It can play loud and then get quiet over time, if you like it to do that. Or you can make the sound last as long as you like it, or you can make the sound as long as less than a second. And everything that was mentioned in the processing stage applies to the synth as well. And there are also these things called low frequency oscillators. These oscillators are too low for us humans to hear, but because of this aspect, you could say that it gives the sound waves life. They work behind the scenes, and they can make the sound wave change pitch. They can make the sound wave turn on and off at like at a very fast speeds or slow speeds if you like. And or it can give the sound wave like a vibrato effect as well. And normally when it comes to these wavetable synths, it is it is often that you will find that you'll be able to stack more that you'll be able to layer more than one oscillator at a time, and you can stack multiple oscillators as well, which is very useful. All right. So once you've acquired all your sounds for your song, now this is the part where we put it together. This is the part where only the unique individual can create the unique song from their mind. And do not worry, even if your sounds did not come out nicely after processing them, it is still possible to create a unique piece of sounding art. And now I will show you one of the songs I made using creative sound design. I call this song Falling Forward. So one of the benefits of being able to make music using creative sound design is one, you will for sure grow as a musician. Being able to work with various sounds to make music is a great skill. But also at the same time, you are learning other skills that that do not apply to music making. Like for one, you'll be able to learn how to you work with music making tools. There are like various plugins that do many various things and work in different ways. But by being able to craft sound using these tools will give you the knowledge and confidence to work with more similar tools. Another thing that will be improved along the way is the ability to mix. With all these effects going on with each sound, you still have to be able to make them sound good together. And to do so, you need to be able to mix. Lastly, you developed a new way to make music. Being able to work with different genres of music is a great skill for musicians, and being able to work with different musicians who may not have the same mind as you is great for throwing yourself out in the field and showcasing your skills. Also, as you are developing these skills, there are people that are seeking these skills from such individuals. For example, there are filmmakers and video game developers out there who are looking for Foley artists. And now that you've developed your skills in Foley, why not try work for them? And who knows, maybe you might like that kind of work. And as I mentioned earlier, um, you now have learned how to mix. You can try and mix some local artist music. And by making music with sound design, you not only become a better musician in general, but you become a better as an individual with skills that people are looking for. And that's my presentation. Thanks for listening.